Okay, I've got Mac out here to help me today. Got an afternoon off. Finally have caught up on a lot of the backlog of jobs I've had. I've done about 60 something jobs over the last 2.5 months, and just finally starting to catch up to the huge backlog of them that I have. So yeah, doing part-time work has become full-time on the side during the spring season here. So I want to continue on, like I was saying before, by grading out this side area so that I get a nice path going up to the back. I think what I'm going to do is push back the wall some more because I have a lot more property line, and then try to make a straight shot through here next to the trees. It's hard to see on camera, but basically the slope comes from like that upper corner and kind of fans out this way. So when you're driving a truck up here, you get a lot of tilt this way. So my hope is to kind of fill in some material that way, and then take the other half of this hump and fill it that way, and then get myself a nice level, or a nice planed path that doesn't have too much tip or tilt to it. So that cuts in the path here. I was able to cut down the right side and fill the left side, but we got a bunch of rain during it, so I couldn't grade it out the nicest. And then back here I started cutting out where the trailers are going to go, just to borrow some material from. But like I said before, I'm going to probably cut that down enough to use a lot of those rocks to put a little retaining wall there. So since I cut in the path going all the way up to the back hill there, I wanted to also cut out a bit more down here, since realistically it's all ledge underneath here, so the grass doesn't grow very well, and I end up having to cut across this part of the lawn to make it up with some of the longer trailers without hitting my wellhead. So I'm basically going to probably cut from the corner all the way straight down where you can kind of see a tire mark where I've been driving, meet up with the gravel there, so I can fill that with base stone and some more gravel to get a nice straight cut up there, so that I can get trucks up there easier, my trailers up there easier. My only issue is that this is where I had the French drain coming out, though it doesn't really move that much water, or at least it doesn't bring much water out to this point. I think most of it ends up bleeding out in the upper parts there where the water springs out, so it should still be fine underneath. What I'll end up doing is just cutting this out, and then wherever the pipe is, just cut it back and cap it, or just leave it there with stone around it, because I don't think it's really gonna have any problems. And then we'll have to see how much ledge is here. I know it's sticking out right here. All right, let's peel some of this back. Alright, I have no idea why the GoPro stopped recording, but I have put a hat on this thing so that it'll block the sun from making it overheat, but it still just shuts off and does whatever it wants. So basically I just took that sod I stripped and packed it in up here, filled in some empty spots, but if it stays, it stays. At least it gives some more depth here so it's not as empty. Alright, I'm going to take some of the gravel I had from a spare job, it's just the regular bluestone type gravel, fill this area back in. That's up on the top of the hill, and then probably going to take the excavator down here and just clean the line up, pull the pile out, and then scoop it with the Kubota just so that I'm not continually pulling up more sod. Alright, so GoPro stopped recording again. No idea why, but I got this piece of ledge down pretty far. It'll probably be okay there. You know, it's about, you know, a little bit of a slope up from where this stone is, but filling in around it and leaving the ledge there will be fine to drive over. And then I broke this part up, filled it in there. I did find the French drain that I put in. It got crushed, whatever, down here, it's fine. I'll just backfill over it. The upper portion I didn't touch, and that's really where all the water is coming out of, and I think it leaches all out there. This stump, I believe, actually goes out all the way here. I think it was a pretty big pine stump, so I'm really not going to go through the efforts of tearing it up, because even this part of the road was already over it, and I didn't even realize it. And I only really need a couple inches of stone here, because I'm just driving my truck and trailer, usually empty up the hill, unless I'm taking stuff out, and it's really not a big deal. This gives me like an extra 4 to 5 feet on this side here, so I can have my truck and trailer come straight through here, and hopefully a triaxle truck as well. Hopefully they can make it up. I'm not so sure if they'll make it around that corner or not, but at the very least it'll give a much better start to their pathing up there. Alright, so that's one load of 1.5 inch minus delivered here. I'm going to get this spread out so he can just drive over that back there, because it's been so wet. I just don't want him to sink or get stuck. All right, Mac helped out with that last delivery there. Ooh. Mac, did you help out with that last one? So down here, of course, where I put in the French drain, I broke it when I was expanding the side here, but I ended up just taking some of the excess stone and pushing it over it for the moment so that the truck could get back up. And of course, over the last 12 days when we've been getting so much rain, all the groundwater has just been leaching out of this side. So right there and through here, and then all the way down at the bottom in between the two pieces of ledge, you know, it's just been holding water. Unfortunately, again, I can't really daylight a lot of this stuff out because I'd have to jackhammer through this entire ledge section just to get a pipe down deep enough to pull it out. And last year I didn't notice this water at all. We didn't really get enough water, but the biggest problem is that, I mean, right underneath this portion is all the gravel that I put in there anyways. So I'm probably just going to clean this up, take a couple buckets worth, and bring it down here and just fill over top of it and just add to it as I need to over time, because realistically for my applications this should be okay. So I'm not quite sure what I want to do with the edge here. I'm probably going to fold it back a bit more and then probably resurface it with loam at some point, just so it's not a huge cliff. But I needed to open this up so I could get trucks back there for now. And I think just putting in some stone over top of this will help clean it up and at least reduce the amount of surface water. Okay, the other day I spread about 60 tons of 1.5 inch minus up here to make a path all the way to the back, and I got another about 20 tons delivered. So my plan is to kind of finish off going up the hill as well as splaying out this way. So what I'm going to have to do is take some more fill, which I've kind of scraped from the left side, and bring it down here, and then I'm going to take some of the rocks that I've excavated out of that side and basically create a little retaining wall from here to around those trees, and then another one I think right behind it, so that'll give me a nice funnel shape going up to the back, so I can get to trailer storage on that side and drive up that side. Ultimately, I've changed my plan as to where I'm putting the building a whole bunch of times, but I've moved it from being where those logs are to over there to now it's going to be kind of right behind where the excavator is. But where I've cleared some more back there, that'll be in a different part of this series or what have you, but this is mainly focusing on getting the gravel path up. So before I put in that retaining wall down here to give me a little curve, I wanted to take some of that material and fill in the swale just a bit so that I can start the wall sort of just right below where the gravel is and kind of get a nice straight line across. And then I'm going to take some of the extra small ledge rock that I pulled out back there and backfill with that as well for a better base. All right, so I think that gets in the 2 tiers that I really want. I changed up this bottom corner here to wrap a bit better and have the rocks sit in a little bit nicer. I had a couple bigger ones back there, but they don't really have good shape and they're very shale-like, so if you hit them the wrong way, they break. But I think these will be fine where they're just sitting up here. And I basically kind of made a little curve going out towards that pine tree there because that's pretty much the edge of where I'd have the aggregate. So it'll give me a nice opening mouth here to drive up or drive down onto the gravel path. I'm gonna have to move some of that gravel because I've now locked myself in here, but I wanted to get the tractor so that I could use the excavator to load in some rocks from over there and backfill them in here for like a nice base, and then, you know, lay everything over top of that. All right, so since it's a weekday, I figured I might as well go to the quarry where they take the stumps and also have the aggregate I've been ordering so that I can kind of do a 2-for-1. I'm gonna do one more trip, grab some more stumps to bring over there, and then get one more load of gravel. This was about 13,000 pounds of gravel in that trailer, and it's rated for about a 10,000 pound load, and it still lifted it because it was nice and centered, but you could definitely feel it behind the truck, and I'm actually surprised I got all the way up here. I think it really helped that I had the gravel laid before. I definitely needed the gravel down before I drove up with something like that, so hopefully now I can reorient and get some stumps in. Okay, that gets me my gravel driveway access all the way up to the back where I'll be doing all the construction and work for putting up the shop. This is great because now I can actually get my truck up that hill, whereas before I just slid on all of the mud or topsoil and everything else that was up here trying to just get up to that curve in the hill. So, and again, as we can see, it got lifted quite a bit over here, probably around a foot down this lower valley, and my plan is to just backfill and slope right off this driveway once I get the fill and the topsoil, and that'll let me slope right into my yard, and trying to keep a little berm here so that most of the water sheds off into the woods, not all the way down my hill. And I'm also going to be getting 3/4 clean just to put over top of this once I'm finally done grading all of it and finishing it, and then it'll be a nice clean finished top on it. Right now it's just easier to have it as the dense grade so that if I need to change something or move something, I'm not mixing up all the stone and having to get new stone. And then here's the double wall here. Pretty basic, nothing special. I just lined up the rocks and fit them in, backfilled them, because really all I needed it to do was lift this area so that I could get the drive going up a bit more level with itself. It still has a natural slope down this way, but it's much less, and when you go up it, especially going up this curve here, I can go up in high gear in both machines without any hitches, so that means it's not too aggressive of a slope now, and I don't feel like I'm going to tip either way I'm going, so I can definitely pull trailers and equipment down this, no problem. Up here I was running out of larger rocks, so I had to stack some. Luckily I had some good flat ones and stuff that fit together all right. Fixed up this end part here, and I may add some more on as time goes on. I really don't know what I'm doing up here in terms of lifting this anymore or changing this, so I just stopped right around here. So again, this lets me get all the way back up here without having to worry about sliding everywhere. And kind of as my truck is now, my goal is to be able to drive right up all the way up to that corner and then back down and park my trailers over where these logs are and all the brushes. Big thing for me right now is just being able to get up here, and then again getting everything graded and cleaned out so that I can just have some aggregate in here where I can put up the Shelter Logic and other lean-tos for the time being as material prices come down for building a shop in the back here. So on to cleaning out all this stuff and bringing it over to the dump and pulling down a couple more trees.